welcome to the Unscathed Live podcast. I am super, I need like 4 supers before excited to have you here with me today. And boy, do I have a show for you. So today in the Unscathed Live studios, I am joined by 3 incredible ladies, and it's in honor of International Women's Day. I was thinking, you know what, how better to celebrate such a momentous occasion, the celebration of womanhood and everything that we are and what we bring to the table. And I thought, you know what, I am going to get some of the from my nearest and dearest who I know epitomize what it means to be a true woman of strength, true woman of character, and everything. So I've got the incredible Ijeoma Nwachukche here with me in the studio. Hey. I'll let them introduce themselves in a minute, but I'll just go. So Ijeoma Nwachukche here with me. I've got the incredible Chrissie Affair. And I've got the amazing, a second time on the Unscathed Live podcast, the amazing Bralade K, Emenanjo. Yay, welcome to the show, lovely ladies. It is excellent to have you here with me today.
It's great to be here. Hi, everyone. I'm Ijeoma Miriam Nwachukche, aka Miana. So that's like sort of my stage name. Yeah, exactly. So I'm a career professional. I've worked in the oil and gas industry in Nigeria for like 15 years, for different sectors of the industry. I am a writer. I have a book coming out soon, The Referral Code. I'm a speaker. I'm a founder of a coaching club called the Purple Orchid. And I launched my first program this year, The Referral Code, where I'm just taking 15 women on an amazing journey through their careers, just be the best that they can be. So yeah, I'm a lot of things. I'm a mom, I'm a wife of 1 husband, a mom of 3 children.
Thank God for that.
Amen.
Oh my gosh. Awesome. Thank you so much, Ijeoma. Chrissie,
Lovely
do you want
to meet you.
Yeah, lovely to meet you.
Lovely to meet you.
Do you want to go next, Chrissie? Tell us about yourself, Mrs.
Oh my goodness.
Affair.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Christiana Affair, more called commonly Chrissie. Career-wise, I'm a career professional. I've worked in HR for the last, I think, 6 years, just sort of managing HR, and I really love it. I'm a mom. I really love all things hair. I'm a hair coach, so my shameless plug for hair, contact me if you need any sort of hookup with anything hair. I'm also a very, I like to call myself a deeper worship minister because I lead worship, and I love to do it. My one thing about music is just to help people connect with God and have like a real encounter in the place of worship. I'm a mom, to quote IJ, a wife to 1 husband. And yeah, that's it really.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Great. Awesome. Love it. Awesome. So my name is Nwachukche. I just had to do that. I've always wanted to introduce myself on my own podcast, so this is an excellent opportunity. So my name is Nwachukche, and you guys have been on this journey with me, right? But formally, I am a project manager. I'm a project program manager, and I've been in that space for about, 12, 13 or 14 years now. But aside that, I am many things. And when I say I'm many things, I actually do mean that I'm many things. I'm a podcast host, as you know. I am also a coach of a massive unscathed community of which you guys are a part of. Yay! I also coach people on starting their own podcasts as well. I am a singer. I've recently launched my own song, the shameless plug for the You Are Holy. If you haven't listened, go check it out on any digital platform and get your hands on it. And I like to say that I am many things. So it's an expression of who our Father is. Our Father in heaven he's a creator, and he's just many things, and we come as an expression of him. So yes, that is me in a nutshell. Yes, of course, I am also a wife of one man. Yes, amen.
Amen.
And a mother to two beautiful daughters.
Oh.
Yes, that is me.
Love this, love this, love this. Okay, people, they saved the best for last. So now you're going to get the absolute best, okay?
See the eye rolling?
See, the eyes are rolling all over this place like eyeballs.
Okay, guys, I know you've never heard me sound this playful on my podcast, but you know, I'm in the midst of my girls today, my home girls. So you get to meet me again afresh. My name is Bralade K, Emenanjo. And I'm an engineer. I'm a speaker. I'm a writer. I'm an author. Apparently, those things mean two different things. Whoever knew, right? I'm a podcaster. And that's why we're on here today. And what else am I, people? I think that's it. I'm a coach.
You're a great friend.
Yeah, I'm a friend. Oh, I'm a friend. I'm a mom to three absolutely phenomenal children. And then I have one husband. I wish I could tell you I have three, just because, more is merrier, but apparently not.
Yeah,
so we're here today to talk about International Women's Day. And my friend and I think I'll let you do that, Tom Brown.
Yes. So we are co-hosting this show. Woo! Yes, because we thought, why not? It's International Women's Week. Why not? So today is a merging of the Unscathed Life podcast and the Stellify podcast. So you get the best of both worlds, people. Yes. So we're joined in the studio today as friends. Literally, we are a circle of friends. We call ourselves the sisterhood of friends who just come together and just love significance. Yeah. Okay, I stand corrected. The sisterhood of significance.
AKA praying moms.
AKA praying moms. That's where we started. Yeah. So yes, we are just talking. We're just having a chit-chat. We're letting you sit in on a chit-chat with us to just hear about, International Women's Day, from our perspective, and that's it. So first question, let's go. Steam ahead. So I will go with Ijeoma. Why not? Right? What does International Women's Day mean to you?
Okay, so I'll put it very plainly. For me, it's a day that we just use. It's a plumb line. It's a day that we use to measure how far we've gone in this whole race of gender equality. And there's something I had said once at a conference. I said, when they asked me how significant is International Women's Day to this journey to equality, I said, I think it's a measuring stick, and the day or the era that we're able to stop celebrating International Women's Day, then we know we've arrived at what we are trying to achieve.
Oh, I love that. I love that. That is so right. That is so right. That's
what it is for me. Yeah. And so every time we take stock and just find out, have we moved an inch closer to the mark, what we're trying to achieve? Have we moved an inch closer? And we just keep at it. We'll keep at it until we get to that day when we realize, hang on, there's equality. We don't have to celebrate it.
I know. But is that what it's interesting, because when you think about it, there isn't an equivalent for men, is there? International Men's Day.
I know there's one, but I think it's.
Is there?
Because I told my husband at the start of this week that it was International Women's Day and he should say something. He was like, how many days do you women have? You have like
Mother's Day.
Mother's Day.
Yeah, I've heard that all week.
Day of the girl child.
Stop hating.
It's interesting. It's interesting. I mean, Chrissie, do you want to add to that at all?
I mean, I guess I do, because it just shows you why, the need how marginalized we've been, the need to just keep bringing this to the forefront to say, look, we're here, we're making positive contributions, we're able to take on, there's no, we're doing just as much, and we're capable, we're able to do these things. So it just tells you the fact that we have to keep bringing it back and fighting to sort of own a place that we already sort of occupy within the society, sort of reminds you that we do need to, because historically we haven't really, had that much of a voice. So I guess it shows how important, how significant it is. And for me, it's just a reminder that, we can, as women, we can push boundaries, we can achieve, we can dream, and we can, walk into a room full of men and just stand just a stall and, do and be in that room and just be present and confident. So, yeah, I suppose that's probably why that, we have so many different celebration of women. And I think until, like you said, Ijeoma, until we get to that point where we're not looking at the disparity, when you look at figures and stats, that, we're always going to have to celebrate and remind ourselves and look back at what we've accomplished and how far we've come and how far we still have to go. So yeah,
it's really, I love what you say there, when you say you own the space we already occupy.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is so deep on many levels. We already occupy it, but we don't own it.
Right.
And I think you've got an interesting perspective, Chrissie, because you are in HR. So particularly sort of in the professional landscape, you see the disparity, you see it, it's evident. I mean, what is that like for you when you see management position occupied by, the same gender? What is that like for you?
Personally, I work I work in a group of teachers. I work in a school. And it's, there's a lot of male in the top part of it is mostly male dominated. And I've been in rooms with, just me, the one black person in senior management, sort of in this room, and feeling like, oh my goodness, we really do need to work twice as hard, and we really do need to put in that effort. But yeah, it's a real thing. And coming from a HR perspective, I feel like sometimes there's progress and sometimes it's like there's a pushback. It really depends where you find yourself, what industry, what, sort of where you work. But certainly, because generally the men come into the room and they feel more confident. They're like, I can do this job. It doesn't even matter. Sometimes I see CVs that you just like, what is this? And they come in and throw their weight. They say, well, I can do this. Just give me the job. But you find a woman will come in and be like, I think I can do this job. I'm like, come on, look at your CV. And when you look at the CV, it is sound. It is excellent. But there's just that thing, isn't it? That you're like, I'm just going to push forward. So, you just held back. And you're just like, I want to aim high. I want to go for it. But you're just at the same time, you're like, let me not like overly push, because, you don't want to look, away. Whereas men will just do that without really thinking. So,
it's interesting. It's interesting. Bralade, it's interesting. I would love for you to answer that, because you are in engineering, so that is a very heavily male-dominated sector. What is it like for you?
I know, it's amazing. They said that after the military, engineering is the most sex-segregated profession in the world. So that just tells you that any woman you see in engineering, this is a reason for the respect, really. It's not, sometimes it's not even because of what they did, but just the emotional toll to be in an environment where it's just you. You're used to being the only at any given time. You never walk into a room. In fact, if you ever walked into a room and there were only females, you would be concerned that you weren't in the right room. So this is why bias is perpetrated, because it's not just in what you read, it's in what you see every day. It's Mr. Bralade, because they've never set eyes on you. It's in being subjugated for your subordinate because he's a man and you're a woman, even though you're the expert. It's all these little things that are the little chinks in the armor, that are the death by 1,000 cuts, that make it that much harder. Because when you hear women perpetrating unconscious bias. That's why it's called unconscious bias, because you don't even know that mindset has seeped in. So when you start to hear women say that, you know that there's even more work to be done. So for me, really, International Women's Day is a celebration. First of all, it's a celebration because any set of people that have been as marginalized, like Chrissie said, subjugated, or just basically just not represented like women have been through the years. It's amazing what women folk have accomplished in the world. And just getting together with our male allies now, with women looking to empower other women, I see that the journey to parity might not take the 200 years that it'll take if we just maintain status quo. So that's why we're having this conversation. That's why we're all here. That's why we're putting our hats in the ring, because we all want to make this journey as short as possible, so that, like I just said, we never have International Women's Day.
Yes, that is it. That's it.
Every
the
day.
Hope, isn't there? That's the dream. That is it. I love. I mean, some things have just stood out. I mean, what Chrissie said about owning the space we already occupy just takes me back to, the very, very basics.
What is it?
The basics for me is, in the family unit, it takes a man and a woman to come together, in PG terms, to procreate. We do that together. But it feels like that is the only place where it's equal. Everywhere else, it's lost.
Go, Mama.
Everywhere else, it just as it just seems like it just dissipates after that. It just starts to, and the ceilings just start to come. For some people, the ceilings are much lower. Unfortunately, for them, the ceilings are much lower. For some, it's really, really higher. So I love, we want to get to a place where we have no ceilings. We want to get to a place where we don't need to celebrate International Women's Day, where everybody is on equal footing and we are going forward. I love it. This is it's great insights. So I interesting. What I want to ask you, Ijeoma, I mean, what do you think holds? I mean, you've done such. Because I know you, right? I've seen how you've just furthered yourself in your career in such a short space of time. I mean, just as an example for people who, are held back, what is that thing that we can do more of as women to launch ourselves more, to just go out more? As Chrissie said, some people, we are qualified, but we still hold ourselves back. What is that thing that you can share with our listeners that can help in that advancement and shortening of the time it takes for there to be no International Women's Day?
It's a very interesting question, and the truth is that there are a million answers to this. First of all, ensuring that you just make sure you improve yourself. So if it means making sure you get some further training in your area of expertise, making sure that you're on top of your game, making sure that you're visible, you show up and all of that. And the truth is, you could do all of that, and the guy beside you could do all of that, and the guy is just still ahead of you, right? The male is still ahead of you. So I would say, in addition to doing all of that, what I found over the years is that I sort of grew a thick skin. So I'll say what I mean, and I'm just speaking really about my own experiences. I sort of overlook, so when I say overlook, I just grew a thick skin. Like, I can't be bothered what you think. I can't be bothered that you think I'm a woman. Like, so people come to look for me, and the general manager of a logistics firm. So I'm at the helm of affairs. And once people think logistics, they think it has to be this strong, muscular man that is, is coordinating vessels and trucks. And most times they're like, sir. So the way Bralade said, they call him Mr. Bralade, and they maybe on emails, on the phone, yes sir, and everything. And then they walk into my office sometimes, and I see the look of shock, because they're like, short bob hair, red lipstick, high heels.
You're just doing you, baby girl.
Like, how we see the head of a logistics, and I see the look on their face, and I just can't be bothered. Like, yes, sit down, how can I help you? And And if they had the guts, they would ask, "Where's your boss?" Maybe I'm the PA or the secretary. Yeah. But the look on my face already tells them, like, I'm not here for nonsense. We're here to work. Sit down, let's get business.
Come on, Mama.
For me, it's something I learned early because I studied geology. And if you know a bit of geology, it's like a bit like engineering.
Yes.
It was predominantly men in university. And I said to myself, I'm in the midst of men, right? If I become all conscious, oh my God, we're just few women, I'm never going to attain what I want to attain. And I wanted to be at the top of my class.
Come on.
I wanted to be that person that is able to speak to lecturers, stand up and have a say without being conscious, without caring whether I'm a woman or not. And so I learned really early. I learned as far back as my year one in university that I had to go to field trips in remote areas of Nigeria with boys. We had to, share bathrooms and do all of that because we were at the field trip location. So I think I was fortunate enough to be trained early. So it prepared me for the career So my advice to women all over the world is you just have to grow a thick skin and get your business done. Be on top of your game and just look past everyone's mediocrity. Because I feel sorry for anyone that feels like I'm less of a thing because I'm a woman. I actually feel sympathy for you, and that's my mindset. It's like a fly just.
So Ije, let me pick something from what you said. Many people say women have thick skins, right? Grow thick skin, grow hair. What would you say? I mean, but you still embrace your femininity. So I just wanted to ask you, what is that balance between being authentic? I see you dress beautifully in a dress, you have gorgeous hair, makeup. What is that balance between having a thick skin and basically becoming or versus being one of the boys and just, wearing baggy pants and trying to look like a man literally just to prove your toughness?
For me, I think the answer is in your question, which is just be authentic. So if you're a tomboy and you want to wear baggy pants, by all means do that, but you're doing that for you because that's what you're comfortable in, not because you're blending with the boys. So for me, what I say is do what you are comfortable with. So I'm comfortable with, dressing up and looking feminine, but I've always had the mantra of be feminine yet strong. Feminine yet strong. You don't have it. Femininity is not synonymous to weakness, right? So I'm going to show up with all my femininity that the Lord has blessed me with, and it's meant to be a positive, right? But when I'm thinking and I'm talking and I'm walking, I'm just walking as an objective human being. I'm not trying to work like a man. I'm not a man. I'm trying to work like the best version of me, and that best version of me is the best version that you're going to get.
Where's red lipstick? Come on.
Yeah, with the red lipstick. With the baggy pants, whatever it is. Just be you and be on top of your game. For me, that's what I say.
Love it.
I'm not a man, I'm a woman, and I'll just be the best version of me. I love that. So Chrissie, it's interesting. We've just talked about, femininity, and that word just always blows my mind.
Yeah.
But I wonder, so in your own career now, for instance, Chrissie, what are some challenges that have come with you just, being feminine, just the fact that you're a woman? What are some challenges that you have faced and can you share some of the ways you've overcome them?
Yeah. I mean, I guess the first thing is always just knowing what you're doing. Because there's a lot of challenges, and I've been in the space where, there's like literally 2-3 different people, all male, just sort of saying, no, this is not the solution. I'm like, actually, this is the solution. And I think we should absolutely go this way. And I think, you have to sort of know what you're doing. You sort of have to be prepared. You sort of have to really show up completely aware of what your role is and how you fit in, because it's very easy for people to try and undermine you and sort of make it, just sort of feel like, okay, is this the right decision? And where you're a woman and you're already outnumbered within the space, you sort of you have to know what you're saying so that you can either know when to sort of go full in or sort of come back out and say, okay, let's go back to the drawing board, let's look at this again, I think. And for me, certainly that's been a key challenge, is just sort of always having to make sure that I have, checked, I have analyzed, I have made triple sure, I have prepared like a gazillion times. I've looked at all the different scenarios and I can imagine what you're going to come back with me. I don't want to be caught off guard. I want to go in and I want to say, this is how I think we should proceed, or these are some of the ways that we can resolve this, issues. And I sort of don't want to have, I think personally for me, because I'm that person, I want to come in with an excellent sort of ability. I don't want to go unprepared and then have, not think of scenarios that could occur. So I think that's the one thing I would say, is just to be prepared, to be fully prepared, to be fully aware, and also to give yourself some slack. We all don't know everything. There are times when there's wisdom from a number of people, and that's just not because you're a woman, and you need to be able to say, absolutely, okay, let's rejig and let's see how we can move forward. I think it's important to sort of be able to distinguish those two, and also to sort of, I like to be firm but approachable. I think it's a bit of that thing. You want to be a boss, but you want to be sexy, you want to be chilled, you want to be approachable, you want to say, yes, you can come to me, come on in here, it's okay, let's have a chat about this, no, don't worry, it's okay. And then but at the same time I want to be, okay, well, no, because this is X, Y, and Z, and but happy to discuss. You want to be able to be sort of know what you're doing and just sort of be open and be chilled. You don't want to be that person who is just trying to put your back up because you feel people are constantly trying to undermine you. And I guess that's really key for me.
I love that. And Bralade, I know you're a bit of you're like a double-edged sword, right? You do you are a massive gender diversity advocate. So what is that layer then that race brings on top of all of this? Can we explore that a little bit?
It's called a double bind. That's what it's called, double bind. It's kind of what Chrissie is talking about. When you have that extra layer of effort, of bias, of discrimination, so whatever it is, double it. And sometimes it's not even double, it's an exponential type progression that begins to hold that woman of color versus her white counterpart. So this was something that was actually litigated in the US. A woman named Kimberly Crenshaw she has this great podcast. It's called Intersectionality. Yeah, that's what it's called. But that was actually the court case that came up because a woman was not hired or something, and they said they had women in the facility, and they had Black men and they had white men, but they didn't have any Black women. They didn't have any women of color. And if you're familiar with the US has about 15 to 20% Black people. So you can imagine, what toll that took on the woman. And she kept saying that, hey, this is discrimination. But they didn't quite get it, because if she mentioned race, they had people in that category. If she mentioned gender, they had people in that category. They had to go all the way to Supreme Court to prove that this was a thing. And that's when the term intersectionality was created. So if you're a double minority in any way, whether by your physical ability, your race, your gender, and by double minority, I don't mean that that's the smaller group. Actually, globally, women are about, every year we range between 50 and 51%, but we've never gone below. That's something interesting to know. But it doesn't mean that we're in the minority. It just
50 and 51% of what? Sorry.
Of the global population.
Okay, of course.
Yeah, so women are actually either more than men or just about equal to men. So it's not even that, we are fewer. It is that the opportunities, the representation, the empowerment, the wealth is fewer when it comes to women. So that just really drives me, because it's just that sense of injustice. And that sense of not having everyone come to the table. The world would be better if we did that. Your company would be better if you had gender parity. Every sphere of influence, innovation would be better. There was a time they were doing these hair products and it wasn't representative. And basically, Black women didn't buy Pantene products because it didn't work for them. And then later they got these female PhDs, Black female PhDs. And guess what? They're out there. So you can find them if you're really looking for them. And they came up with a whole new line of products. So those are just things that you can see that it actually makes sense. So this isn't even for the sake of fairness, I would have still advocated. But add on that, the fact that things can be doubly better, exponentially better, if everyone was allowed to come to the table, then I'm just ginger to be like, no, we won't take no for an answer, like zero no's.
So I love that answer. But that has sparked another question in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the balance then there between, equality and tokenism? Because we want a PhD Black woman, we find the first one that possibly doesn't qualify. Well, she qualifies, but isn't a right fit because there's certain as well. We have to take her because she's got the face.
Yeah.
How do you manage that?
Equality for me is when a Black woman gets that seat, or that man that's on a wheelchair who is disabled, when he gets that position. That's what equality is to me. Now, tokenism is when that company has the wrong motives, or when that
it's in the motives.
Doing it. Yeah, it's in the motives. And I mean, we all know, we all have a sense of what is going on. Look at Sonia Sotomayor. She was the first woman of color on the Supreme Court in the US here, right? But when Sonia went into Harvard, they would never have recruited from her high school. When Michelle Obama was going to get into Harvard and Yale, they would never have come to her neighborhood to recruit. So in terms of that, people said, oh, there was a quota system. Yes, there was. I won't swear, but I'm close to. But yes, there was a quota system, but it's simply because they deserved it and they were just as good. They probably would have been better if they had the same exposure. So I know that sometimes we get concerned. Even you are listening to me as a woman of color right now, and you're thinking to yourself, oh, I don't want to be a token. It doesn't matter what the person who wants to put you in there thinks. Just know that representation matters. Martin Luther King told the only Black woman on Star Wars not to quit, even though she was being discriminated against in that environment. She said that the fact that you're there matters because it's a message to every Black child to see that they can be there. Guess what? I've met people since then who've been fellows at Boeing, who've been everywhere. And it was because they saw that woman on TV. There was no engineer or scientist in their spheres. So that's something that I deeply believe and ascribe to.
I love that.
I love
Absolutely.
it. Absolutely love it.
Can I come on the back of that?
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer that the intentions and motives have to be right. But guess what? Even if it's tokenism, let's just keep moving ahead.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't care. Like, be moving. Let's put it in context here.
Move ahead, yeah.
For the team. It's like one for the team. Go and show others that we can all get there. Yeah. It's better than not even having representation at all. I guess what, if I was an institution or an organization and I'm going to do a tokenism, I'll still choose the best. I'll still, even if I had to select from the marginalized minority, I will still pick quality, right? So if you look at it, the person still deserves to be there. Whether token or no token. So for me, it's fine as long as we're just making progress.
And guess what? It remains tokenism if you don't bring in more of you. So if you get that position, pull people along with you. So that it's not just you anymore. But if you're the one woman there 10 years, 20 years, then you're the token woman, right?
It's brilliant.
That is so good. I love that.
Amber, can I ask you a question? All right. So let me ask you something, and really it's to everyone if you want to. This year's theme is Choose to Challenge, and we've had great years. We've had each for equal and things like that. How have you chosen to challenge when it's come to your anything that was put on you as a woman. And it doesn't just have to be to a person, it could be to an institution, it could be to your mindset. How have you chosen to challenge that I can do this regardless of my sex?
So I think this season has been a really interesting season in my life. I think the past 6 months, I've been sharing a lot of my story. I've been standing a lot more in my power and in my life. So for those of you who have listened to my podcast for a while, you would know that I've been, talking a lot more about owning your story and standing in your light. So I think for me, it's one of the biggest things that I am challenging in myself and in the lives of my daughters as well. It's just those limiting beliefs, those beliefs that keep us small, those things that say, because of the experiences that I've had, I cannot go further than this. Because as you said earlier, Bralade, it's unconscious. So sometimes we are even victims of it because we don't know, we fall into that and we hold ourselves back. So I challenge my mindset every day. I think about the decisions that I'm making and I'm questioning that. Am I keeping myself small intentionally or am I going there? And it's challenging self-sabotage. Opportunities are coming. Am I putting myself forward or am I doing what Chrissie said? You are qualified on paper, but intentionally you're thinking, you know what, I'm not going to apply because I don't know. I don't think so. So it's I think the mindset is the sit of everything. It's the sit of everything that we are, everything that we ever will be. And it's important that we get that right. So for me, it's limiting beliefs. It's also challenging the stereotypical view of where a woman, the limitations of womanhood. That's my answer.
Love that answer.
All right. So key, isn't it?
Go, Chrissie.
Yeah, it's so key. Sorry, I just had to say that because that is everything, It's almost like constantly challenging what you see around you and saying, no, I can move past this, or it doesn't have to be this way because X and Y was that way, or because this is what the media and everything around me is putting out. I'm going to challenge for better. I'm going to push past just normal. I'm going to go for extraordinary. So yeah, I think, that's a real big challenge. And I personally, I would say that's what I'm challenging as well.
So none of you had that little boy in like your elementary school or secondary school who called you something and you were just like, I won't take it. IJ, do you have any choose to challenge story like that? Not that dramatic, but
like growing up,
Like, is there anyone who has undermined you for being a woman?
Not quite.
But let me tell you, they're just being modest because I know the environment we grew up in, right? There was something my sister used to do, and I didn't used to like going out with her because of that. We would be using, the public transportation buses we had in Nigeria, in Port Harcourt. Literally, maybe every third time we would use it, she would end up slapping one of the bus conductors. So the bus conductors would be those people who would say, get into the bus and would tell you where the spaces were. And inadvertently, they would try to touch you. They would call you names. They would, they would try to flirt just outrageously with you. And someone would rest their hands on her bum or something, and she would just... She was feisty. Shout out to Adi if you're listening. But we all, and that's part of the conditioning. When you know that this environment doesn't really respect women like that, the men would even tell you they were just admiring you. They didn't mean anything wrong. And they were just coming on to you. They didn't rape you. They would even say that, right? But that was one thing she would do, and it would almost always end up in a fight. What did I do? I just touched your body. Why is that such a huge deal? And that's something I realized now that was her fighting against the system. We don't always get it right. It didn't have to be a slap. Hers was assault, right? His was sexual harassment. But sometimes I find that we get to that end of our rope, and the way we stand up for it. I think it helps.
I mean, now you say it, I actually, it gave me some time to think, and then even on one incidences that happen back at home in Nigeria. Like, for example, woman is an insult in Nigeria. Like, you're driving a car and you make a wrong move and you hear someone shouting, woman.
It's because it's a woman.
It might be like an insult, like because it's a woman.
Even my husband, it's so bad. I'll just interrupt you there. My husband will be driving and then someone will be in front and he will say, I bet that's a woman. Look at how I'm like, you have two daughters.
Exactly.
It's the socializing.
Yes. Exactly. So I mean, that's one thing, but I know in university when I went to school, and I take it back there because I think that's a lot of where my formation started. I would hear then that, you can't look too pretty, you shouldn't use a lot of makeup, you shouldn't look beautiful because it's a male-dominated department, and that the lecturers on there were quite, you would hear all sorts.
Lecturers,
that they were going to come after you and they want to have an affair with you, and if you say no, you could fail. You just hear all stupid stories, and then you hear things like you need to sit at the back of the class. And I'm like, and that's ethical. You guys know me. I'm not an ethical person that wants to sit at the front. Like, why should I sit at the back?
We need subtitles for Ijeoma. Ethical means someone who's very studious.
I'm sorry to be a word.
Sorry, it's an actual phrase.
This is your home base. Home base Nigerian.
Nigerian English today.
And Bralade to put subtitles. So okay, I'm going to switch it on here. So ethical is that efficient,
very smart, intelligent,
very smart, very A-game type girl. And I just wanted to sit at the front of the class. I just wanted to listen. I wanted to engage. I wanted to ask questions. But you're telling me that I can't because I'm a woman and I'm going to be prey. Really? That's what you're telling me? So I have to hide like I'm some game in the jungle, hiding from the hunter. I'm not a game. I'm a woman. I'm a human being of value. So how did I fight it? I said, no. I'm going to sit in front of the class. I'm going to look fly. I'm going to ask intelligent questions. I'm going to engage the lecturer. And he's going to see more to me than just a pretty face.
I would love it.
And then I'm going to make sure that I don't miss out on any assessments, any tests, and any exams, so that I don't fall prey. Because the problem is when you don't do what you're supposed to do. So it takes me back to you just always have to be on top of your game. When you don't do what you're supposed to do, and you have to go to maybe have a private meeting.
You won't have to, cut corners, right?
Yeah. And that's when he has the opportunity to do. So for me, I say to every woman, please dot your I's, cross your T's, be on top of your game. You make it really hard for the person.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So that's some of the battles I had to fight. I had to fight a head.
We're still fighting, y'all. We're
still fighting. So I want to talk about and this will be one of the ones we start as we start to wind down. I want to talk about the next generation. How important it is for us to. I mean, what should we be doing to raise the next generation of strong women? How can we ensure that the gains that we have made, the advancement to this day where International Women's Day will no longer be a thing, how can we ensure those gains will always, continue to, we'll always continue to make those gains? Because if the next generation are coming up and they don't see representation, if they don't see all of that, then it starts to wane, doesn't it? So what are some things that we can do for our daughters to ensure that we're raising strong women?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we are going to, and I use the word have to very infrequently. So if I say we have to do something, I truly believe it. We have to demystify strength. When we talk about a man, it is it carries the connotation of strength already. It's inbuilt. If you see a man that can't carry 20 kilograms of stuff, we don't think he's weak. We just say he doesn't like carrying stuff. So,
Mm.
so far, strong women have been the successful women because they've had so much more to deal with. Now, this new generation that's coming up, we need to let them know that mediocre is okay, because if it's okay for a man to be mediocre, they can be.
That's interesting. That's another way to look at it from an equality standpoint.
So when I say mediocre, I don't mean by any means to dumb down, but we have mediocre engineers who are male. We've had some excellent engineers, female engineers, who had to work 3 times as hard just to get to the top of their game. So one of the things I would say is, when your daughter tells you, she wants to do engineering, but she's not the A student at math, don't discourage her. I have engineers I work with, they use the calculator if they want to add 2 5s, right? So they just need to know that they can be anything they want to do, and there's no limit to their aspirations. And get rid of some of these, I know it's hard because we were trained to be women, like there's some kind of title or pay that comes with that. I know it's hard, but demystify some of these gender things. A woman doesn't have to learn how to cook. I'm telling you, believe me, I cook. I love to cook, but nobody needs to learn it. Half of the women who cook don't cook good anyway. You know it. You don't like to eat their food. They cook, but you don't want to eat it. So let's stop dissociating. Let's start now dissociating some of these gender roles from the things. My husband is great at that. If I call him to like change a light bulb or something, he'll be like, but you're the engineer. I'll be like, doesn't matter. You're the man. And then I listen to myself and I almost laugh. He's the one who tells me, you advocate for gender, right? But these are some of the kinds of things that send the type of messages that we want to prepare the next generation for. They can do anything, be anything.
Do anything. I love that. Yeah. And just to piggyback on that, I would share an example of the how. One of the hows that I've seen in my house. When my kids were, this is going back a couple of years now, they must have been like 4 or 5. So I don't do any ironing at all, whatsoever. At all. I don't
do any washing at all.
Actually, yes. I don't know any washing, and a lot of other don't do's, but we won't get into those.
Let's just try. So that you guys will not.
So of course, my husband irons a lot. And at that age, they were probably about 5, 6, thereabouts. They had only ever seen my husband ironing. So one day I bought them like a little ironing board. They got a gift, like a little ironing board.
A pink one, I'm sure.
It was, yes, a pink one. And my daughter got it and she was so excited and she brought it, unboxed it, and she's like, oh my God, I get an iron. I get to iron like Daddy. And she was so excited. She'd only ever seen a man iron. So in her life, in her books, it was only men that ironed. So there is power in what they see.
What you model.
It is so much power in what you model in front of them. So if all they ever saw me do, all that was ever attached to me was ironing and cooking, then for them, that is who I am, and that is the totality of me and the totality of who they can become as a result. So it's important. What are we showing our next generation? What are we showing our daughters? What possibilities? I love, one of the big wins that we've had over the last, I think, 6 months or so was Kamala Harris.
Yes.
What a win. What a win for us as women. It's so great. So I just have to say that.
And the
yes.
Okonjo, love it.
Yes. Love it. So it's
Chrissie,
yes, absolutely.
Chrissie, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think we have to catch ourselves, because some of these things are just sort of subconsciously there, and you have to just do a good job of catching yourself. I really like the fact that there's no, even with things like toys, there's no, this is boys and this for girls. I buy my kids toys based on what they like and what they gravitate to and what they want to be, and what I want to show them, not just that limited space of it's just dolls, or it's just it's just this. I buy them everything. They have cars, they have trucks, they have dolls, they have the whole works, because I want to give them a rich and a full view of what they they're able to accomplish. It's not, there's no boys. I really try to say no, I really try to stop them to say, no, this is not, you're being biased, and challenge their thinking, because I think the key thing is that whether or not we want to admit it, the society around us is constantly feeding them what the stereotype should be. And so I think for us, we have to make conscious, efforts to sort of change that mindset and challenge it and say, no, actually, that's what we've inherited historically, but we're able to change it because we can. And I think that's just, for me, that's just the key, one of the key things. And just, paying attention, little things, you miss little cues when you hear certain things and you're like, oh, okay. Like you hear some conversations and you're like, that's very interesting. Do you mind telling me why you think that is? And just listening to what they come up with, and then sort of going in from there and really digging in so that it's clear. And there's no such thing as, no, this is just, for guys. I tell you a very funny story. I had some guests long before COVID happened, and this little girl came in, and we're all sort of having breakfast, and I think my hubby was in the kitchen and sort of making breakfast, and I was sort of somewhere else because I was trying to organize other stuff, and and she was like, your daddy cooks? Yeah. And I was like, and then he was like, yeah, daddy does now and again cook breakfast and things, but it was a shock that daddy does cook, and again, it goes back to that thing about modeling and showing them. So we do have to not just say it, we have to consciously challenge it and consciously show it to them in everyday life and what we do. So and
just to say, it's a role that we can abdicate, because as Bralade said, it's something we have to do that, because our children are in a world where the stereotypes are reinforced.
It's just
on
every
the playground.
day. Yes, absolutely.
On the playground, boys are telling them you are just a girl.
Yeah.
So it's something that we have to work twice as hard at home to ensure that we close that gap. I did you want to add to this?
Okay.
Absolutely. Like my daughter, she's very like a firecracker. She's very vocal. I'm like, you go, girl. Like I'm her biggest cheerleader. Like so sometimes when she might be climbing and someone will say to her, stop climbing, you're a girl. I'm like, no, stop climbing, you'll hurt yourself.
Period.
But literally what Amanda said in Ijeoma, it happens every day without even people knowing it. You tell her, don't climb because you're a girl. What does that mean? Is it okay for a boy to climb?
To climb?
Okay for the girl. And I'm like, no. Tell her not to climb because she's going to fall and hurt herself. Because if you tell her to stop climbing because she's a girl, then you're limiting her already.
Boys climb.
Yeah, absolutely.
Achieve that she can achieve. So I start from home, and I'm happy because she has older brothers in her case. So she's learning to grow with the boys and just do and allow her to play with them.
Yeah.
Ball, the car, the doll, whatever she wants to play with.
Yeah,
Chrissie
everything.
Said, and then the ladies around me,
everything.
I'm constantly teaching them, showing them to own their space. So these are the young ladies that work with me or the young ladies that I mentor. I'm like, show up and just own your space. Occupy it and own it.
Occupy it and own it.
Don't be apologetic for being a woman. I walk into most meetings, I'm only the woman there. I'm the only woman there. And I'm like, I strut in, I take my place on the table because I deserve to be on the table. There's a speaking that you speak to the world around you, not just with what you say.
Energy, people. Come
on. Your silence, and you're just saying to them, I'm here. And I belong here. And I deserve to be.
Yeah.
I love it.
So sisters, I want to ask you a really important question. Madeleine Albright has this famous quote that has been attributed to her. She said, there's a special place in hell for women who don't support other women. I want to hear your thoughts on the women who have supported you in your journey as mothers, friends, sisters, wives, your tribe. How important is it for women to have that tribe. And I hear many women sometimes say, it's not a man that helped, it's not a woman who helped me, it was a man. How important is it for allyship and for sisterhood? So just share a little bit about that, your own personal, and maybe someone you want to give a shout out to, who's either your role model or has been a mentor along the way. It's a long question. Take a step. I know.
I'll go first.
Okay.
I think growing up, I always generally had more men around me. I got along better with men, and I just felt like I can't do women. I'm not ready for the emotional stress. I think I'm a bit of a tomboy in my heart. But
certainly not in your appearance.
Certainly not your appearance.
But in the past 7-8 years, I met this amazing, or more like I was connected to this amazing tribe of women thanks to Tombra. And shout out to the sisterhood of significance, Tombra, Bralade K, Chrissie, Ala, and Ebere. And I think it just literally changed my life. And when I say that, it's because with the association I've had with these women, I could look back to see how much I have grown over time. And it comes from a place of when I'm down or I'm sad or I'm just burnt out, I have this group of 5 solid women support me. I might talk about intellectual issues, personal growth, finance, marriage, relationship, or whatnot. So the fact that I could just go to them and be vulnerable, it was a place where I could be vulnerable and share. And you just have everyone with wisdom. And the Bible says that there's wisdom in the multiple of counsel. So for me, it has strengthened me along my journey. I know many times I've done things that I've been proud of myself because I had these ladies cheering me on. I know when I started reading more books in 2019 into 2020 was because of the sisterhood, just pushing us to read book, read mindset, read grit, read all that. And the times I stepped out to do things that I would normally not do, go and do that idea speech, go and join this coaching club. IJ, you need to be more visible, go on LinkedIn. It's really been from the sisterhood. We do visioning sessions together. And so for me, I feel like every woman really does need that tribe of women to support them because, women understand themselves, we can share the same emotions. And we just know where it gets to us, it hurts us. But that said, I've had men along the way in my career that have supported me. My husband has been very supportive of my career because since I've been married to him, he's always just been like, I know you're a career person. I know that makes you happy. And he just supports me. He's there for me. He encourages me. And sometimes I find it difficult to tell him I'm having a problem at work because he's like, your thing, this is your stuff, right? And sometimes I'm like, I just want to just,
I know. Tell me, I had that
issue from your sisters.
And I've had a few male, bosses that were just always like, Miriam, I think, because they call me Miriam at work, and they would just tell me, I think you can do this. I think you're the best at this. I think you could go this. So I've actually had some strong men, and I wish that the world would come to a place where most men, if not all men, are like that, supporting the women, and them they can do their best. And then in terms of my role model, I've always loved the Kuna Wusika. I think she's phenomenal the way she's able to be at the, she's the chairman of the first bank, she's at the helm of her career, and she's still a spiritual woman. She's so grounded and she's so fashionable. For me, that epitomizes what I want to be, what I see myself as. So, big up to Auntie Ibukun Awusika. Auntie, the Nigerian thing, yeah? Anyone older than you that you like becomes your auntie.
I love it. Happy to go next. So I think when women support women, a certain magic happens.
Love it.
There is something that is so cataclysmic.
Ooh, I love it.
I just love that. I don't know what it means, but I love it anyways.
That just happens. And I think all of the significant things, almost every significant thing that has happened in my life at some point or the other I can trace it to the root of it being that there was a woman there somehow, just kind of cheering me on, either in a mentorship capacity, or it's in a sister, or it's in a friend, or it's a co-worker at work. And it has just been beautiful. So I say all of this to say that it is hugely important that you surround yourself, or you make yourself or make your heart open enough to connect, because sometimes you're surrounded by people, but you're not connected. Your heart is not connected to them. You make your heart connected to people who are like mind, people who are going on the same trajectory as you intend to go. So remember the operative word there is that you intend to go. So it might not be that you are there yet. They may be farther along than you are, but you see that and you desire it, you like it. Ensure that you engage yourself, you align yourself with such people. And one of such people, some of such people, as I just kind of alluded to, is, my friends, this sisterhood that I have here, this sisterhood of significance, we call ourselves. We have just been instrumental in our lives over the last sort of 6-7 years, just loving on one another, and we have blossomed. I have not. A lot of people said, oh, there's been this bloom recently of coaching, everyone's a coach and that. But to be honest, I don't even, and people say stuff like, I wish, I'd had a coach years ago and stuff like that. But I don't even feel like I would have needed a coach years ago, because I have always had these friends. I felt like I have been coached and mentored by a group of sisters that have held me up long before I even knew what a coach was. I was being coached. So it's just beautiful that if you will surround yourself with people that just get you, connect with you in spirit, honestly, you will go much further, much quicker.
Yes, you would.
Will ever be able to, you can never anticipate. So I just want to just drop that in someone's heart. And in terms of role models, again, my husband is so supportive. Like I just say, what would we be without, support like that? But also I love, absolutely love, and I think it's almost like people will say, but I absolutely love Michelle Obama.
I knew that's who you were going to say.
I love Michelle Obama, just the grace, just the equal footing with her husband. It's like she was never beneath. He was president, but she was there too, just there, campaigning with him, everything. She was just, that is their relationship. Just epitomizes for me just that equal partnership, equality models it so beautifully. And so I'm going to cheat and add one more. I absolutely love Oprah Winfrey.
Oh,
I love her.
Yes, who doesn't love Oprah? That's like
grace, just to be able to start from from the very bottom,
consistency,
and just be consistent. It's been beautiful to watch. But I will stop there, because I could go on, but I'll stop there.
Chrissie, what about you?
Oh my goodness.
What?
No, we said it's a good place to stop.
Yes.
Yeah, very good.
Can you imagine? See why these sisters, in fact, you are removed from the sister.
Right. Chrissie, all right.
Oh my goodness. I think, I feel a little bit sort of overwhelmed just thinking about this sisterhood, because it's really been, for me, like an outlet to really be vulnerable. I do not like being vulnerable. I hate it. It makes me uncomfortable. It makes me cringe. And I think, oh my God, no, I'm going to deal with this in my own way, and I'm going to sort it out. And truth is, it'll take longer. Eventually you'll get there. But with sisterhood, with people that you can just sort of bounce off, get support where there's no judgment, there's no sort of ulterior motive, we're just here to support each other, to sort of give love and, shed any light that you might have, to sort of push you forward. I think every woman just needs to have that, it's so important. It's just like, imagine cheerleaders, just like set of women just saying, you can do this, come on, you can, I know you failed, but it's okay, come on, let's dust it off, let's keep going. And I think, you know, every woman needs that. And if you, like Tombra said, the key thing is to find women who are going where you're going, you know, so that you are in good company, and you know that you are going to get to where you want to, or ultimately where you see yourself heading. And then just also be able to be vulnerable. You know, when Tombra said that, I kind of smiled, because it's so hard to be vulnerable. And so when you find that group of women, it's important to also be willing to be open and to be accepting and to be given, because, you know, to give as well as receive, because quite frankly, that's where the magic happens, when you're able to receive and you're able to give and you're able to be fully present and fully vulnerable, without a fear of judgment. I mean, it's just amazing. So I would really encourage you, and I'd encourage every woman out there really to just sort of, you know, always look for an opportunity to be kind, to raise somebody up, to give a good word. You know, you just really don't know what people are going through, and you don't know where, you know, that you might be the difference between someone, you know, nosediving and just like climbing back up. So a note to every woman really to just affirm every woman that you come in contact with, regardless of where they are in their life's journey, regardless of what point you see that they're at, is so important and so key. And Tombra stole my role models. Like, you know, I love Michelle, I love Oprah. Oh my goodness, Oprah, I just love the woman. I just, you know, when I got her book, I hugged it, I registered to be at the live events. I was like, Oprah, say Oprah, I mean, you know, Michelle. I was like, you know, it's so good to see a woman who just is so confident, so present. She doesn't feel any kind of way because her husband is president. She just is, you know, she's present. She knows herself, she knows who she is. And the fact that my husband is president, oh yeah, you know, Barack, it's just we're just here together running this race, doing this live, you know. I love it. I really love Michelle and Oprah as well. I mean, I watched that interview. Let's not even go in there, but I watched that yesterday and I just said,
it's very polarizing. We will not talk about that interview.
We will not talk about it. But I just kept saying, Oprah is queen. She really is. Yeah, so those are my two role models. Yeah. And also I've had very, you know, at every point I've always had a woman, you know, who I've looked to, or somebody that I've had in front of me that I look at and I think, this is what I want to be. I think it's very important to look for that, to seek that, and then to sort of watch and learn and, you know, pay attention, because those people will play a key role in, you know, helping you and showing you what is possible, essentially. So yeah, that's it.
Wow. I'll go last and I'll go I'll go last and I'll go quick. So the sisterhood for me is, it's like God just saying like, hey, what does this person need to get to where they're going? And then God just gives you the framework, the support system to get you there. Because if you're planning to go anywhere in life, money is not just what you need. Opportunities are not what you need. You need those people that can help sustain you in those places where you get there. And I think that's what sisterhood is for me in terms of prayer. And the thing is, with women, they see you 360. A male ally might just want to support you in your career, or, you know, in your marriage or something or the other. But women, we see people right through to who, all the sides, all the expressions of them. So that's what my sisters are to me. A space where you're not afraid to be vulnerable. Chrissie mentioned some major things. That's what you do with your sisterhood. So before you get vulnerable, before you seek that support, make sure you guys are going to the same place. Not necessarily the same career or the same business, but the same values, the same type of vision of the future, that it can be better and that you plan to be a leader in this life, or you already are. So that's one. My role model, absolutely, is my mom. Because not many people can say they have a mom who's their role model in family, in marriage, in as a friend, and in career. So she was all those things for me. And she was a huge women gender advocate. At the time, I didn't quite see what the big deal was. And I thought that's how every, mother was, in like meetings, going for international conferences, releasing statements when there was a coup, and crazy things like that. And that's something that I would say that people need to see. People need to keep doing those things, because look at me, I watched, and even though I'm doing my own little bit in that area to advance in my career, as well as bring others up with me. My auntie in the UK, she's a Professor Ngobo Emese, absolutely. That one person you call when you get any promotion or when you're looking to navigate any career or any such issue, game-changing thing for me, because some people only get it with their coaches. And if you don't pay for that month, guess what? You don't get it. If you're looking for a mentor, you need to hit up IJ. You'll see her details in the show notes. She runs this huge career. And when I say huge, not the number, but the whole circle, referral code, she calls it. So we can't even possibly touch on all the things you should do with your tribe today, but be intentional is one thing I would say. Be intentional, read books. If you can't sit down and have a purely intellectual conversation with your friends without going into material things, what hair, what purse, well, hair, except you have friends like Chrissie, but otherwise no hair. So if you can't do that, then forget about it. For men, my dad, absolutely. My husband, yes, because he has no choice, quite frankly. But then again, he loves me, so it's easy. Even though he doesn't have a choice, he does it gladly. But my dad is, someone who just mentioned, he was sharing on my IG Live the other day, and he said, if you're supporting a woman, you don't just support her on your own terms. You ask, what do you need me to do to make this possible? And you set about doing it. So this is not just even about, I support you, boo, go do your thing. No, you get in the trenches with her and do that. And I'll end with Michelle, because Michelle is every woman's woman. So my book that I'm writing now has a couple in front of it, a portrait of a couple. And when they first drew it, the male was taller than the female. And I deliberately said, make them of equal height, because we're talking about boundaries. And I wasn't going to have her in any way less, even physically. And it was Michelle Obama, because herself and Barack are like, who's even taller? They're same height, basically. That's how you think she's taller, right? Because of that confidence, that thing, that extra
confidence takes her up.
Oh, this has been so much fun, ladies.
Brilliant.
Have fun. Thank you so much for having us.
Fantastic.
Awesome. I enjoyed it.
I just want to also, you said we could give a shout out. I think it would be good for us to be a major shout out to DDK, because she's very
Thank you.
So,
she was right here in my mouth, but I said the people will say I'm bringing too many women. But go ahead, please.
No. So major shout out to DDK. She's been instrumental in my journey this season, launching out to the referral code. And I know Bralade K and Chrissie as well. She's just been
in case you're wondering who DDK is, she's Debola Dejukurumi. She's our master coach, because she's just a master like this. So like that. So we're members of her mastermind, and you are in luck. And I use the word luck maybe once 5 times a year. No, did I say 5? 5 years at a time. So you're super blessed to be hearing that the inner circle, which is her coaching program, is open for enrollment for the next, I think, 14 days or something like that. So get in on it. I think we're going to put the details on the show notes of this. Tomra will on the Scathe podcast, and I will on the Stellify podcast, because I think what shocked me the most about her, IJ, and I could tell she's a gift that keeps giving, is that you really find a woman that's all of that. She's almost like a man. And which is the thing that kind of gets to you and like, my bias is really deeply seated.
Yeah,
because
it is. I was about to come out on that.
Yes, because she has so many parts. It's rare that you would find a coach that has intelligences in several areas and can guide you in many of these areas. It's just mind-boggling. But we know, I mean, they exist, they're out there. So if your coach is one of that, your mentor, give them a huge shout out this International Women's Day and hug somebody.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you so much, ladies. This has been such a great conversation. I love you all, as you know. And I say a mighty thank you to the Unscathed and the Stellify listeners for joining us on this joint podcast episode, exclusive podcast episode. Until next week, when we'll come back with another interesting conversation. Thank you so much for joining us today.